Welcome back to another session on the continuation of the walkthrough of making a track in FL Studio. Okay, so during that time I cut the last video a little bit shorter, and the reason why I did that is because I wanted to add in some more samples in the FL School sample pack, which added I added the hi-hat that I didn't add in the first time, and then the crash, and of course I added two vocals, which is the same vocals but different cuts. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use the FL Slicer. Now FL Slicer is actually one of the most important tools in production, which I think is a very powerful tool for what it is. So let's go ahead and get started on that. What we're going to do is we're going to get the vocal. Let's go ahead and play that.
Pump up the volume.
Okay, so it's just the basic pump up the volume, which is probably, you hear that vocal quite often, so we're going to go ahead and use that. Now this time we're going to right click. Instead of going to open a new channel, we're going to go to open a new Fruity Slicer channel. And now that you have it open, also another thing I should mention is if you're trying to match something on beat, you always want to use the metronome. This way you'll hear if the vocal is on beat or off beat. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this in a mixing board. Raise the volume on that. Open up the FX mixer. Go to Insert 8. Drop down menu. Link selected channels or hit Control L. And let's go ahead and play that sample.
Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume.
Okay, so I like the sample, but I want to cut it. I want to cut it to the way I want to cut it. So what we're going to do is, now before we do that, let's take off the metronome, play that again.
Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume.
So I'm going to raise the volume.
Pump up the volume.
Not the volume, but the EQ.
Pump up the volume.
Take some bass
off.
off.
Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume.
Okay, so we're going to add in some effects, but we'll do that in just a little bit. So let's talk about the FL Slicer, Fruity Slicer, and how to cut up samples and put it the way you want it. Okay, so if you click on the piano roll, you'll notice you have slice 1 through 7. Now if you play each of them, it's basically that pump up the volume but in different cuts.
Pump up the volume.
Okay, I just want to use volume as one word instead of using like 4 different times.
Volume.
Like 4 different cuts. So let's go ahead and close this out. You can erase this if you want. It doesn't matter. Close this out. Click on your FL Slicer or your Fruity Slicer. What you want to do is you want to click on slicing, which is this little icon. Click on that. You go down to open in Edison editor. Now this is to do your advanced editing on that vocal. So what we're going to do is we're going to find where we want to cut it. So let's play the song again.
Pump up the volume.
Okay, so I just want to cut the part, or actually what I want to do is make it in different sections. So let's play that. It's going to be pump.
Pump.
And now we're going to put a marker in there. To do the marker, you hit the letter M, and let's say it's called pump. So pump. Next part, I want to click and drag the pink highlighted area and play that again.
Up.
Okay, this one says up. Actually, I want to zoom in. The way I'm zooming in, I'm rolling the mouse to zoom in, and if you roll it up, you zoom in, you roll it out, and you're zooming out. So I want to put it about right here. Let's see how that sounds.
Up.
Okay, that's good enough. So now, same thing. Hit the letter M. Type whatever you want, and this marker is called up. Now let's move up to the next one. Okay, so I just want to use the part. Once again, M, name it. And I'm going to continue to do that for the next word. I might have to cut it in 2 parts on volume. So let's go ahead and highlight and play again.
Volume. 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 Volume.
Okay, so I'll just use it, just the word volume.
Volume.
So once again, hit letter M, name it. I'm going to name it volume. Now here comes another important part. When you play it, you can, now I only have 4 parts instead of 7. So let's highlight every single one. Make sure everything's highlighted. You click on this. This is your drag and drop selection tool. You click it and drag it and drop it into your Fruity Slicer. So now when you go back, you have 4 of them. Now let's play that back.
Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume.
Now the reason why I'm doing it like this, the reason why I did that is because I want to do some cool sound effects or some cool ways to cut up the vocal. So this is what we're gonna do. Now that we have the sample, you can mess around with it. You can erase some of these. Click on this. Another thing, let's say I want to click this, I want to even. So I'm gonna put this to 1.000, and now it's exactly in that bar. And then when you move it, it'll be 2.00, and so on and so on. So let's play that. Let's say I want to do something cool like this.
Pump, 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 pump the pump, pump, pump up, pump, pump, pump up the volume, pump, pump up the volume, pump, pump up the volume.
Okay, so as you see, that's what I mean by I'm cutting it up to make some cool sounds out of it. So this is what we have. We probably won't use it in this way. We'll probably change it up a little, but that's no problem. Now what we're gonna do is I want to add in effects. I want to add in like a reverb sound to give it more like a, like you're in an actual concert or whatever type of reverb. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Now to use a sample or to use a effects in your sample, what you do is, you notice right here in your ends, you have your 1 through 8. You can add up to 8 different effects on one sample, which most of the time you won't use that many, because using it too much can take away the quality of the sample. So once again, you click on this drop down menu. Actually, this is the first time we're doing this, so click on this. You want to go, usually you'll have under select, you'll have all your fruity effects. And if you want to get rid of some, let's just say you don't use certain ones, you could just go to more, and this is actually your effects, the select effect plugin. You can get rid of the ones you don't want. They'll always be here in this menu, but let's just say you want to open it in this menu, and you just want to save room, or you want to make it easier for you to find a certain plugin. So this is how you do it. Let's just say I want to get rid of, let's say I have delay bank. The F is actually a check mark, so you want to uncheck it. It's the same as the checking unchecking, but it's just the letter F. So now that as you notice, when you open up FL Studio for the first time, all of them will be selected, and I unselected them and only selected the ones that I use quite often. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in a reverb. We're gonna add in reverb 2. I like using reverb 2 because it's a little bit more easier, and it's actually a lot quicker to use. So what I want to do is, let me go ahead and put it to normal real quick. That what I did was, when I put it on normal right here, it's putting it to the normal way it was supposed to be set. So let's play that back with the reverb.
Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume.
Okay, so it sounds a little bit better, but I want to add in a little bit more vocal and like in a bigger room. So to do that, what you're doing, you can actually click on this, drag up and down on your mouse, or you can use this knob. So now you have a full, like a bigger full room. And let's go ahead and play that back.
Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume.
Okay, so I want to add in a little bit more reverb. Reverb is just a kind of like a echo, a type of echo. So let's play that again.
Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume.
Okay, so we added, now this slider is the wet. If you want it to sound more wet, you use this slider. And this one is actually your early reflection level, which I use that, kind of like you can hear it. If you mess with it, you'll hear the difference. And usually I don't mess with this one. This is the dry level, so I always keep it at the default. So we're going to go ahead and use this vocal with the reverb. And in our next video, we're going to continue on working the track, and from there we're going to do the vocals and then do a synth or maybe a type of sound that we can use for our beat.